Howdy, howdy. Welcome to the channel. It's sorry about the market sell-off thing. Alright, yeah, the market's not selling off. It's whenever I borrow my live stream message shouldn't say market sell-off. It does that sometimes where when I go live, the save settings should be live market analysis. But sometimes I don't catch it. It just, when I click go live, it uses the last, and it should be saying what it says right now. Live market analysis, Forex, equities, crypto. Anyway. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, sorry. I did not mean to post I changed it already. It shouldn't be market sell-off. I've already changed the title to live market analysis. That was not meant to be clickbait. It was selling off the other night. No, the market looks good. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, apologize for that. All right, let's get rolling though. So what I had planned is I was going to do a video of sharing my. So I'm up, I think like a little over 70% since January 1st, roughly. As far as like all this action, yeah, since this pop started January 3rd here, and Ethereum and all the other alts started moving early this year. So my tradable position that I have on Kraken, I'm up 70%. All I was going to do is just share a lot of my trade setups, because people were asking how on earth are you. And you know, we've been setting this up a long time. So the fact that I'm up 70% of tradable position when I've been setting up, looking for this for forever, you know, this is the time to be trading. We were going to make our hay for the year right here. But I wanted to talk about my trade setups and how I've been navigating this market. No problem, Elias. Take care. Let's take a look at. Let's start with Forex here. We're gonna open up with Forex. All right, so dollar is a little off. It opened up here almost 91. It's a little bit off. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so the dollar. So I've got this downtrend on the dollar that we were watching. I'm gonna try to be better about not being so moving my charts around so much. So on the 8-hour, zooming in, we had this downtrend that we've been monitoring. This long-term downtrend here. We're back above it, and we're also back above the 90. This is now support. I think this is probably just normal consolidation, a dead cat bounce. It's been a really bad downtrend. Get rid of. I need to do some work on this chart. I haven't touched the DXY itself too much. But you see, if you clone that trend line right there, maybe that's where we come into and find some resistance where those touches were. We'll see. Obviously, I haven't touched resistance from here in a while, so I'm just going to delete this resistance. We don't need it. I'm going to slide this resistance down right there. Let's see if we go back historically, that level gives us, yeah, that 91 level right there. You see the touches on it in the past. So we're coming into the resistance right at 91. On the DXY. So yeah, we're coming into both downtrend, potentially resistance, and that 91 level resistance. Okay, let's see what else we got here real fast. What's up, traders? What's up, Heath? Hey guys, what do you think BTC will do? Dump. I learned that today. When the dollar strengthens, crypto has correlation. I found charts. Yeah, so I actually did a lot of work on that. I have on my BLX chart. Let's go back to crypto. So let's quickly look at. I was watching NZ USD for an entry. We're below this level. What do we got here? We could probably draw in some local levels. Let's get rid of this. I don't need this support anymore. Go to our daily. I'm going to move this up to where I think. Do we have a good level? We got a little bit of support coming in right there with those touches and those wick downs. Yeah, we're right on support on NZ USD. Might be a good place to look if we get a resumption signal off of here. Let's look at 4-hour local levels. I like that blue line, the green line right there. Yeah, resumption off of that might be a good entry. Let's keep an eye on that level. I'm not looking to scalp. I'm totally looking with Forex. I haven't even taken a Forex entry in weeks. I took a couple of entries in December and got out for the end of the year, and I haven't even re-entered this. I've been so busy with crypto, I haven't even touched Forex. Let's get rid of that line. NZD JPY, Euro USD. I gotta put these as resistance. We'll get rid of a couple of these lines that we just flat don't need right now. Okay. Let's pull this support down and see if the market showed us this. These bodies right here on the 9th would be the levels I'd be watching. It's got a wick, body, wick. Slightly below it, but I'll leave it green because this looks like it's wanting to resume there. Euro USD. It's a lot of potentially good setups if we get a breakdown on the dollar, but we'll see. We might have to flip bullish if we get it back above this trend line here, get back above 91. Yeah, obviously above here I'd flip to neutral on the dollar in this range, and I'd flip to bullish above this. So I'd be going bullish above 90, right around 92. I'd be bullish the dollar because that means there's some type of flight to safety, and it's regained its its risk off appeal. Granted, now Euro and USD both have to be under pressure, but let's see. AUD. I mean, where I'd want to be long is AUD, NZD. I think there's a lot of good reason macro-wise for them to be long, but again, we always follow the charts. My macro thesis only helps me feel more comfortable about my trades. It never is any more the decision that drives my trades. I'll share this little bit of personal information with you guys. I became a drastically better trader. I used to be a really macro-oriented person, right? And that's just the way I think. I became a drastically better investor and trader when I used technicals as my primary, and my macro thesis was simply supported what I saw happening on the technicals. Now, I still prefer it when my macro thesis lines up to the technicals, but I'm not going to be beholden myself to... I'm going to flip music in the background here. I'm not going to hold myself to my macro thesis. So if the charts tell me I'm wrong, so I'll let the chart dictate whether my macro thesis is right or wrong. All right, check this out. AUD USD. I'm going to borrow this Heath line. I like this level right here. Look at that touch. I was doing a lot of work on the AUD USD a long time ago when I was more active in Forex. So this is one I definitely would want to be in. I like the AUD macro wise. So let's just see. I don't think that line's parallel anymore. I'm just going to try recloning this real fast. Sorry guys. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we kind of came out of this channel that I had here. I don't know that that's too terribly significant. These channels, this obviously hasn't been respecting the trend lines too terribly well. I mean, if I draw it up there, you can kind of see. Maybe I have my trend lines off. That could also be the problem is if the market is respecting trend lines. But it's definitely in a bullish uptrend, that long-term breakout. I definitely like going long. AUD and NZD, USD would be where I'd be looking to go long this week for sure. AUD, JPY. Heath probably already had a really good Forex. I haven't got to watch Heath's video yet, so I'm going to get off of Forex now because I haven't had a chance to digest Heath's. And what I do is I honestly digest his information before I go do. So you just see me live work on some charts here. So what I did is I pulled this level down, those bodies there, these bodies here. I like bodies a little bit more than wicks, especially if that's what the market's showing me recently. So that's the level I'd be watching on like CHF, JPY, which is the other one I'm watching. So those are the key pairs I'm watching this week, and NZD, JPY. So all of these are on good support. Get a resumption off of most of these. I'd be happy to enter a CTM entry on those. All right, let me look at my questions. What we got going on here? When dollar strengthens. Okay, so your question, Markel, about the dollar strength. Bitcoin is going to be pretty disconnected right now. But yes, as the dollar strengthens, let me answer that question that I had earlier about the dollar. So on my BLX chart, I did a lot of work on this. Let me just share my chart with you guys. So this is all types of marked up. I've done a lot of work on this chart, and you'll see as we go back here, I've measured the cycle lengths, all the cycle lengths. I've found the symmetry in the cycle lengths, and I think based on my own research, all the symmetry I've found, my conclusion is that if I go to the 3-day, I can stay zoomed out enough y'all can see this all in one place. My conclusion is that we're looking at a 508-day cycle would probably be about right. So that puts us at a peak of this cycle at October 1st, late September, early October, basically. But now, if you overlay this chart with the DXY as a macro proxy for the strength of the economy in general, and the market in general, why my DXY just disappeared? That doesn't look right. I don't want the percentage, I want the actuals. This chart's all messed up because I got so many notes on here. I've got screenshots of it. I actually have to go look at some of my ideas. Hold on. Look at my ideas and I'll show you if I go to my account, my profile. Here's the DXY overlay. There you go. All right, so this is a chart I did back on October 1st, and you'll see here, to answer your question about the index. So I said takeaways at the dollar, by far the strongest point the last cycle. This could very well count for the slow bull market site. 2006 post-halving, BTC was down for months, and it appears correlated to a strong strengthening dollar, whereas 2020 halving almost immediately appreciated from that point due to several macroeconomic events. So basically, I've been saying since September, basically, when I was posting these ideas, that there's a pretty clear inverse correlation to the strength of the bull market or the strength or weakness of the bear market to the strength or the weakness of the dollar as kind of a proxy for the overall economy. So you can see in my idea here, you know, especially this last cycle, the dollar was very strong, so the bull market got out to a much slower start, but then the dollar weakened, you know, halfway through the BTC bull market, and then the bull market really got going. And then in our cycle so far, we've had an extremely robust start to our cycle and a very weak dollar to this current BTC bull market cycle. So yeah, I definitely think there's some inverse correlation going on there. I think we're a little bit disconnected now. I think the cat's out of the bag, and I think it's become fairly disconnected. So I'm no longer focused on the correlation to the dollar on this bull market, this Bitcoin bull market. So I hope I answered that question. All right. Let me look at some of the questions here. Yeah, so I hope to answer your question, Markel. What's a safe leverage on Bitcoin now, 2x? That's up for you. I'm not a financial advisor. Bitcoin is marching up. You see these higher lows we've been putting in. I just left it on my chart because I think it looks clean. But let's go to like an 8-hour, 12-hour. And you can see it's clearly marching up. We're making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. We came to a stop at a really good level there. We just continue to make higher lows, continue on this trend line up. We're looking at this wedge pattern here developing on BTC, so we may be breaking out of this wedge the late January. But until then, all of our altcoins have been gaining strength. Altcoin season's here. So I was watching this head and shoulders, which let's see if it's fully played out yet. If I don't like it because it's kind of a double left shoulder, double right shoulder. It's kind of like a, you know, I don't. That's not really a true head and shoulders. But if we were to call this the neckline, it's a 7%. So we'd be looking at a 14% total. So yeah, we should be looking at, if that does play out, we should be looking at the Bitcoin dominance to drop down to 63 or so, which would basically mean that we have the altcoins have only moved half of the way that they would move if this fully plays out. Now that's a lower neckline than it should be. Like the neckline should be actually up here. Yeah, so the neckline should be like that probably. So it's probably already played out. But now the downward momentum might be. That would make a better neckline. So you came into it, formed your head and shoulders. But this drop below is what throws me off. Like, I don't like this head and shoulders pattern, honestly. I called it out, I said I was looking for it, and it's kind of played out, but you know, it's an ugly looking one. All right. But that means alt seasons, alts are here to stay. So I was going to go over specifically with some of my trades and help share with you guys how I did this. So now I took screenshots, so you guys don't know I'm not messing with you. So here's like my ADA chart. This is my Kraken trades. Now please tell me this until the position size. I'm pretty sure I was pretty safe about taking these. So the greens are entries, the reds are sells. This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me how the trades actually worked out, but. So that's ADA, DOT, entries in my cells, ETH, entries and cells. This is me getting stopped out over in the very left, me getting stopped out trying to be aggressive, trying to find the bottom early, just taking, aggressive entries, and then taking some nice profit on some of these moves. And I still have a trade on. And then, was it Link? Link, yeah, some trades on Link. All right, you guys get the idea. So, not pulling your leg; those are real trades I had on. So let's take a look at them. Let's analyze. Let me make sure I'm not getting more questions here. I'm gonna start talking about the USD pairs more too, because there's just so many people trading the USD that I need to not be dogmatic about my view. Is that you can successfully trade these instruments. Man, this chart is crazy busy. I can get rid of some of this stuff. Oh, I guess the log doesn't make it any better. You can trade these instruments against the Bitcoin chart on using CTA methodologies on a longer time frame, and I've been doing so fairly. But we've also been in a bull market, so it's been kind of easy. But let me just share some. So my trades, I took non-CTM entries trying to find support like on ETH BTC, and got stopped out early before January. But since January, I did take a non-CTM entry as we came off of this support, just basically buying on support, right? Just buying on strong support, trying to find strong support and buying as it fell into it and then resumed back up out of it. So I did have a trade on, I think, down here. But since then, I did put a trade on right here in ETH BTC as we came out through this trend line right here. And it wasn't a true CTM entry. I'd have to go down to the 1 hour to kind of look at the fine grain and look at it. But I was watching this on like a lower time frame. And I did see it clearly peak, bounce, and then resume. And I did take a trade on this action right here and took profit somewhere up here. That was one of my Ethereum trades. Now, more recently, so what I'm looking for, let's just break this down to the basics. I don't want to, you guys, if you are completely lost as to what I'm about to talk about, you need to join the Conquer the Markets trading course, and you'll learn a lot about what we're talking about. But basically, I want to buy in an uptrend. I want to buy support in an uptrend. I want to buy momentum in an uptrend, and we sell downtrends and buy uptrends. And so, a little bit of this was me anticipating an uptrend. Yeah, I bought right here and got stopped out there, for example. Like I had some losses trying to get into this, but those are tiny orders. And I put the way that I've been playing this market is I will take breakout trades. They're very small trades. I was trying to come up with a, hold on a second. I did pull up my trade worksheet. I have a very simple trade worksheet where I figure out my position size, my stop loss, based on my entry, stop loss, my capital, my risk. And this is a sanitized, like simplified version of it. And it tells me my position size. So what I do is on the chart, I come up with my entry point and my stop loss, plug it into my spreadsheet. So I encourage you guys to either there's spreadsheets available or make one yourself. And so what I've been doing is taking very aggressive breakouts, but like 0.5% with a huge stop loss. So it's a tiny position. But the real big trades I've been taking are true CTM entries. Let me show you some of those. Right here I've been trading on the 12-hour. I'm down to trading on the 4-hour. But what I did on this breakout of ADA, for example, like I took a trade here. I took a big trade here, and I took a second one here. So I've got 2 fresh trades on ADA. After having I picked some up bottom fishing here. I took an entry here, and I took profit up here and somewhere in here, right? I believe. If I go back to looking at my, let's just look what I've done on ADA. My biggest wins, I think, I've been on DOT and Link so far. Yeah, you can see my whole bunch of entries and exits. Let's go to ADA real fast. We'll pull up what I actually did on ADA. I swear I took an entry lower. Yeah, down here, right here on the left, but it was in December, so that doesn't count. Let's look at what I've done in. Those red dots are sells? That doesn't make any sense to me. This doesn't make any sense as to. These entries don't make sense to me, but maybe that's what I did. So yeah, right here I took entries on ADA. You can see clear on the chart. So this is a CTM entry, right? So we broke out of a downtrend is what I was seeing here, right? We had this strong downtrend. We broke out of the downtrend, came back to retest the trend line, and resumed off of it. So I would have taken an entry like right in here. My stop loss was probably really wide. And how I play these trades is as we do this breakout retest resumption, I will take like a breakout trade with a wide stop. But these resumptions, I might get more aggressive. I might take a second trade. So the real trade would actually be the CTM entry would be to move your stop further up than that, right? So on a good clear entry, I'd move the stop further up. So most recently, let me just pause and just collect my thoughts. Like now that we've broken out above this second trend line and we clearly have momentum, these are the best trades up here. So these are the ones I've been taking much tighter stops and much bigger positions. And so they move the needle for me a lot more. But like these trades here have been the good ones. So this right here, I took a trade right here as we came out to retest this and resumed out of here. And I put a tight stop loss on it with a bigger position. So this is probably a 1% risk position. But you see that super tight stop loss means I actually have a pretty decent sized position on. I added a second 1% right here. So now I'm capped out on ADA. So, but I have 2 trades on ADA right now. So what I'm trying to highlight, let me think about, what I'm trying to say to you guys. These aggressive entries here, how I manage these aggressive entries is I use wider stop losses and much smaller sizes. But I did have trades on here, but they were much smaller trades because we were still technically in a downtrend, and I'm being super aggressive trying to get in entries anticipating a breakout, but you can't take big risks when you're trying to anticipate a move. The smart trade is to wait for all this stuff to clear up and for us to get above like this trend line here. When we got above this trend line here, these are where I got much more aggressive with like 1% risk trades with tighter stop losses, which my stop loss would have been like right there. But so I had 2 really so I've got a total of 2% risk on, but I've moved my stop loss up. So the other thing too, what I'll do with these is because I'm trading so few pairs, this trade here where I exited this momentum, so we had this breakout, retest, and resumption, right? And I would have put a trade on here, I would have put a stop loss here. Now, if I'm going to take a second 1% entry on this same pattern with a stop loss here, I might move this stop loss up to break even when I do that. So my ultimately, I'm risking now 1% still on the same pair. That's not necessarily a CTM thing, but that's just how I've been managing my crypto trades. So at total, I'm actually right now at risk of maybe losing 1% if ADA were just a tank, right? So I'd have a break even and a 1% loss trade. All right, let me go to the questions. So I just wanted to show some trade setups that I've taken and how I've been managing this. Now, my big wins have come from I've had a really big position on ETH since down here. I did take an entry coming off of this support right here, and I've been holding that entry. This is a 2% trade. I was so confident in ETH. I felt so good about ETH. I took a full 2% entry right there, and I haven't touched it. I've just been managing I think my stop loss is up here at profit. All right, I think that's where I moved it to 3, 1, something like that. My last trade, last movement. So, but all this other action that we've had, I haven't taken any more trades. I have that one big 2% position on. That's it for ETH. And then Polkadot, this has been my big wins, right? So I did take some losses trying to bottom fish, I did take losses here. So for example, I think I took this breakout. Let me look at my, did I lose? What did I lose at? Buy, sell, no, I won that. So I took a win, I took a stop loss there. I took a stop loss there on the way back down, and then yeah, I re-entered and got back. Okay, so here's what I've done so far on DOT. This is an example of risk management, right? You see the losses. I've had 1, 2, 3 maybe stop losses. I've put on so a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades on DOT. I've taken 3 losses, but they're 3 small losses. That's a small loss. That's a small win, small loss. I don't know what happened there. I'm not able to make sense of it with these dots. I'll have to go back and analyze this further. I'm sorry. But I think I got stopped out. This entry, I think, got stopped out there, and I re-entered it on this resumption signal right here. And then I took profit there too early. I took 2 profit too early on DOT, right? And it ran some more. But then I saw the resumption, so I took an entry here, and I took a profit up here above 0.5. So that was a really nice trade. And I was highly confident this second setup. So these were all smaller on the left side. These are smaller, and the trades have been getting bigger as we go to the right side. And so this was either a 1 or 2%. I don't know. I think it was a pretty tight. This last one that was a big trade was a pretty tight. I have to go look at the actual trade log. But this trade right here, what you were seeing the Harvey ball, the dots, was an entry right here. Stop loss right there, probably either 1 or 2%. I don't honestly remember what I calculated that one at. I'd have to go look at the trade log. But it was a tight stop loss, so it was a decent sized position. And these are the better trades, right? Because we've broken a trend. We're above resistance now, and this is a key resistance I was watching, right? And this is so I'm happy. This is a trade I wanted to take. On Link, I have a much bigger trade on right now, actually. No, I have a small trade on right now. This is a fairly smallish trade right now with a pretty wide stop loss. This is actually a small trade. I took a big trade right here. There's the big trade. There's the big one on Link. Let me go double check my Link chart, make sure I'm not pulling y'all's leg. But yeah, remember as I get over to the right side, it was way back there I took the entry. It doesn't make sense. These little Harvey balls they got drawn in here don't make sense to me. It says I took profit at 583. Okay, I have a new trade on now. Yeah, so I took profit right here and re-entered right here, but I must have entered. Did I just hold it that long? I might have entered back here somewhere. I might have entered. Actually, I think what happened is I entered down here somewhere and never got stopped out, and it just ran. So it looks like my entry is over here somewhere. Is this a big wick down? Am I not showing a stop loss that I ate in a ring? I don't know. I think it looks like I entered right there. That doesn't make sense because I would have been buying into resistance. Why would I have done that? I don't really know. Somewhere over here I re-entered. I don't know where I got the signal. I was watching these on a 12-hour. You would think. I think maybe. Oh, I probably took this breakout. That's what it was. Now I'm seeing it now. So I took a breakout trade right in here. But I would have got stopped out. Maybe I have my screenshots. My screenshot's too narrow. I'm not capturing it all. Okay, I don't know. But I did have a big trade on coming out of here, and I took profit. My thing's too narrow. I took profit at 520, and another trade I had on at 550. So coming at it, so I had buys in at somewhere in here. I'm not able to track this all. I guess I would have got stopped out here and maybe re-entered. That's not a good example because that's bottom fishing. The good trade is right through here. So my trade I have, so I don't want to talk about that too much. That was me just trying to bottom fish. So I thought I had a good trade. This trade right here is the one we want to be in though, right? And this is actually a small position. I probably should have taken a more confident position here. But earlier I did take a trade right through here. I think I did post that. So why I took this trade, again, there's this downtrend trend line we've been watching. We broke out of that. We came back to some key support levels roughly, right? This 53230. We came close to it, and then we resumed up. And so I entered on resumption, and it's a hybrid. Basically, I broke this trend line as well, so it's a breakout. All right, I'm going to pause just for a second here. So, I'm probably talking too fast. Yeah, my priorities are technicals over macro. Do you trade BTC to alts or BTC to fiat stablecoins also? I just trade, right now, where we're at in the market, I'm just trading BTC alts to BTC. I'm trading alts against Bitcoin. Did I just get stopped? Maybe I might have had my stop loss below this wick on some of these trades. Oh, no, I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on with my link trades. Yeah, so my better wins have been on ADA, ETH, and Link, and then this dot. I did have a pretty good win on this. I think that's what it was. I was holding through a lot of this stuff, and I took profit up here somewhere on Link. The main thing is, like, right now the trades are happening, right? This is a breakout, clear breakout, retest of a level, and resumption out, right? So you're trading, you're wanting to follow the market's momentum into these trades as we're resuming out of here. The reason I'm trading versus Bitcoin is two reasons. One, Bitcoin is the trade because the supply cut with the halving, and B, the macroeconomic situation that the world is in. And so I want to make sure it helps me to focus on beating the trade. The trade is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the asset to be holding. And so I want that in my base account. So as Bitcoin's going up, my base account value is accruing basically. But I want to be laser focused on beating Bitcoin. and I don't want to be in trades. I don't want to be in I don't want to be in trades that are losing versus Bitcoin. So for me, like watching versus fiat, just because you're winning versus fiat, you may still be losing. And that's just the reality. And so it helps me stay focused on winning versus, Bitcoin, which if I'm not beating Bitcoin, I might as well just be holding Bitcoin. So like some of my trades, I didn't talk about this earlier. The link trade I took just now, this was a CTM entry, clear as day, right? Breakout, retest, resumption on the USD chart. When I saw this happen on the USD chart is also where I entered on the Bitcoin chart. Same thing happened over here on ADA, right? I saw this very clear breakout, retest, resumption. And when I got the buy signal on the USD chart, it gave me further confidence to enter my trade. Was it USD chart? Or maybe it was a breakout of this. But these signals, when I get a concurrent signal on the USD chart and the Bitcoin chart, it gives me more confidence. Same thing with Link, Dot, and Dot's just been doing this back on the 4 hour. Obviously it's been bull flagging, consolidating, and up it goes. I just entered a new trade on Link here. Right, where was my Link trade at? Right there. That doesn't make any sense. No, it wouldn't have been it. I'll have to go look at my logs. I'm probably talking way too fast. Yeah, so the main thing is we've been in a downtrend versus Bitcoin in a lot of these names. So trading Bitcoin helps me to ensure that I don't want to be going against the current, right? If Link and Dot are all depreciating versus Bitcoin, I'm guessing a lot of my percentage gains must come from DOT. Look at this chart. Yeah, I haven't stopped to figure out why. I'm up like I've taken profits on 35% of my so I'm up since January 35% in profits taken, but my profits not taken, I'm up like 70%, and it's probably heavily on Dot's shoulders. You see that big? I didn't notice the move was quite that big. So we've moved versus the Bitcoin chart, what, 50%? Yeah, okay. That's probably why. Dot's probably carrying that. I had a good trade on Link too, a couple of them. And ADA moved. They've all moved quite a bit versus Bitcoin. I haven't really stopped to do the math. Man, they're all up 50% from the very peak bottom. That's a 50%. Hold on. Now, obviously, I wasn't in the whole trade. Yeah, well, it's 50%. Yeah, it's 120% gain from the peak bottom to the top. I guess that makes sense why I'm up so much. 90, okay, so they're all up huge. Coming out of this breakout levels. Let's just start with the breakout on this one. Let's see up on the breakout. 150%. Okay. Yeah, wow, these are some big moves. And this is versus Bitcoin. So they're up 150%. But of course, Bitcoin has obviously been consolidating. It's actually been down, right? This is exactly what we thought would happen in this phase 2 of the altcoin cycle. Is that money would either it's not really rotating from Bitcoin, or it might be. This might be traders rotating from Bitcoin to alts, but the price of Bitcoin isn't going down because institutions are continue to put a floor under here. Glad to see you tonight too, Vern. Another question, sorry but curious. Do you trade smaller cap alts to BTC, or is it too risky? No, I don't know that it's too risky. I think you could probably manage it. It's a lot tougher because the wicks get a little bit more insane. Basically, anything that Kraken doesn't support leverage on, I'm not trading, just because I only have a smaller portion. So again, when I say I'm honestly not trying to brag, say 35, 70%. I have a small portion, a relatively smaller portion of my Bitcoin on Kraken for trading. So overall, my overall Bitcoin, position, I'm up like maybe 10%, so I have gained in my overall position a decent amount through these trades, but the reason I'm trading leverage is because it's a subset of my position, and I just, I don't want to put my whole Bitcoin, all my Bitcoin holdings on Kraken. I just want to put a small portion of it, trade with leverage. But yeah, so any pair that doesn't supply leverage, that I can't trade leverage, I haven't been trading really, frankly. And there haven't been a lot of good setups outside of the main ones. So the ones that they provide leverage on are a little bit more liquid, and I think probably a little bit safer to trade on. The one I've been watching is XLM. I can only do 2x leverage on it, but I'm kind of waiting for a good signal on XLM to enter a small position. I guess there might have been some other entry signals on... So I saw Curve was pumping earlier. Yeah, so see Curve right here, right? Like, I'm not too concerned about the uptrends, downtrends on these right now. Like, it's at this key level. You see, it's a very important level. It's the big sell-off, found support there, consolidated on it, wicked up to it, got resistance, went above it for a little bit, swung around it, peaked up to it, little crazy spike up to it. So this level is important. So that one horizontal level is all I'd really care about tracking, like on a curve, if you're wanting to trade curve. Now, I don't think I can trade at leverage, but this might be one of the few signals I've seen outside of the main pairs anyway. So I probably won't put a trade on it because it's not available in leverage. But like none of the other, like this is the key level I've been watching on Litecoin. I don't really care about Litecoin. The graph did give me an entry signal. I did tweet this. I tweeted this entry signal right here, and like you'd be in profit if you took that entry. That was an entry signal right there. I did tweet. And I think I drew it as, you might have got stopped out if you took a really tight stop loss. I mean, if you did like the entry signal was like right through here. It was actually right there. And if you had I wouldn't have ever put that tight of a stop loss on it, especially these altcoins. I would put my stop way down here. So if I didn't take a trade, if I would have been still in that trade. And basically, I give it 2 support levels. Another way to look at it, maybe another way to say it, is early in the move, right as it's first breaking out, I give it 2 support levels for my stop losses on these trades as well. But y'all saw, like when I pulled up my trades here, I've eaten some stops. It's not like I haven't. But the bigger, more important trades, the bigger wins have been recently with momentum, and I'm able to hold those and let those run a little longer. Now I'm kind of looking, but so we have so much. We're up 100%, but look at the room we have to go, like on ADA. Like my ultimate, this trade that I'm in now, you see that the air is getting thin. I call this like the resistance is getting really thin. I tweeted this. On ADA, the air gets real thin. Up here, there's not a lot of historical resistance levels to go through. Once we break out above 39 where we're at, so ADA might be giving you a buy signal right now. Go down to like the 8 hour. No, it's not quite, but it's trying to break out of this 39 level. That's an important level. But the air gets real thin up here, and this is what you look at Ethereum. What did Ethereum do when it got into that thin air, right? You're fighting with all these historical levels and trend lines, and then you get into thin air, and it just moves. It gets more volatile. I mean, Ethereum's probably about to make another leg up too. Dot USD. I need to slow down. I'm sorry by scrolling. I'm like way too busy on my charts when I'm doing this. And Dot's just insane. I don't know where Dot decides to stop, but I've got a trade on Dot right now. So I could have drawn this like this resistance. You've got a level here actually, and then another level kind of right there. Let's go down to the 8 hour for some more fidelity on that. That's your resistance right now. Do some work on these levels real fast on Dot. Okay. So I'm liking that right there. So I'd put it right there because that close, open, wick. That was an open. That was a close. We fell down to it, closed right near it, and found support at that level. Wick down to it, wick. Closed up at it, opened, sold off at it as resistance, right? And then same thing. Let's go to this level right here. like you could draw it right where we're at on these bodies right here. It's probably the best level. So we're right into resistance on .BTC right now. You know, sold, closed, found resistance, bounced, wick down to it, bounced, wick down to it, bounced, wick down to it, started to bounce, sold down to it. And then there's obviously just one more level above that. This is .BTC I'm looking at. Okay, so we got two kind of tight. So we're into it there. So the trade entry, so for example, the entry signal on DOT, looking on the 4 hour, breakout, retest, resumption. Now, which one of these is your retest wick? That's another good, like, I don't know if people have a strong opinion of that. The one with the lowest wick down, in my book, is the retest. So either one of these qualify. So I would put the trade on above this. And the reason this would be my trade on level, because there is a light resistance level, right, historic resistance level right there. So I wouldn't want to put a trade on coming into resistance. I'd want to put a trade on breaking above that resistance. The better, yeah, I mean, this is just good consolidation. So when you have this like light resistance like this, you can pretty much bet it's going to bounce around a little bit. If it did the same thing historically. So going back in the past, that level we were looking at right now, it's bounced around in that level a decent amount. So you can bet we're probably going to again. Now let's go to .USD. I don't think I have to look at the dominance probably to get a good long-term chart on it. All right, so dominance chart. This is Bitcoin centric though again, huh? Does anybody know what feed? Does anybody have an opinion on a dot feed that's been out longer than whoever? What's my feed from right now? My .USD feed currently is Bitfinex. I don't know why I have a Bitfinex feed. That's weird. Let's try Binance or Coinbase never had, so it's never on GDEX. Binance, yeah. There's just not a lot to work with historically on .USD. It's in. Yeah. So I wasn't directly answering your question there, Nikita, but I hope I answered it. This is the level. This is we're consolidating in here right now. At this point, now you had a breakout retest, initial retest, and resumption signal. So you could have been in trade on already, which I am, right? So I'm already trade on based on this price action we saw here. But we're continuing to consolidate. So the smarter thing to do would be to wait for a breakout of this whole consolidation that we're in. That's kind of a bull flag more than... So you can see this as a bull flag. It depends on how you look at this. And this is probably... I think I had it drawn as a bull flag on my .BTC chart. I did. I took it off. So this looks... As you can see it a little better on the .USD chart, I think. Yeah, on the 4 hour. It's kind of a bull flag more than it was. You see all those touch, 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 touch. And then if I draw the bottom, I bet we'll see some symmetry there. Maybe. A little bit, not much. Maybe a bit of a bull flag, maybe a breakout there. And so the safer entry would be to wait for this breakout, retest, resumption. I didn't start my, I didn't put my notes. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. If you listen to anything I say, you'll end up losing 1,000% most likely. All right. BTC USD head and shoulders. I'm not tracking a head and shoulders on it, but it could be. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you know what though? That neckline, if this is a head and shoulders, that neckline's going to look an awful lot very close to my trend line. So I'm going to be monitoring the price action of Bitcoin regardless of if this head and shoulders plays out. The breakdown would be below that trend line. So I'll be watching for a breakdown below that trend line, regardless of if it's a head and shoulders or not. So that's the other thing that kind of happens with head and shoulders is they do line up a lot of times to horizontal level to other levels. All right, I'm gonna probably wrap up here. I didn't have anything super impactful. There's not a lot going on in the market right now. It's kind of bland. It's just all stagnant. I really apologize about the clickbait. I did not mean for there to be a clickbaity entry. I'm looking at the triangle breakout on the 2-hour chart. Check it out. Did you see Instant today? What was that about? Yeah, I saw something about Instant. Did my camera stop again? I just not noticed that. Man, this stupid camera. I've got to fix my camera. All right. Hi from New Zealand, Bo, if you're still on. I mean, hi, Bo, in New Zealand. All right. Well, we're under resistance on DOT right now. It's kind of bland. It's consolidating, looking good. ETH USD. I think ETH USD looks like the one that's about to move to me. Now, I did tweet this that I thought it was going to move the other day. What I did is I saw it break this trend line right here. I was like, okay, and I got kind of a signal. And actually, right after I tweeted that, it did make like a big green, one of these big green bars somewhere. But it's still under this other trend line that I've been watching. Let's see where that trend line's rooted at. This trend line's rooted at this price action down here from way back in 2018. So it looks like the trend line on this, obviously the 1230 is the level that the market looks like it cares about more. We've gotten above it on the daily, 12-hour, 8-hour. So we're above that green line right there. That's a big level. Hold that level and zoom off. We got this trend line to contend with. We tried to break it, obviously, and they got rejected above it, came back down. That was a whole crypto sell-off, if I recall, all through here. But Ethereum, if I was to put my wager on what the next big move in crypto is, it's gonna. I think Dot's been so bullish, it's crazy. I think Dot is gonna make one more move, but probably just this little move up here, and then we'll see what happens at 5710. So I'm in a trade right now in this consolidation. For my trade right now, the trade that we're in right now on this, let's go back to the 12-hour. I'm sorry for moving this chart around too much. I moved these charts around way too much. I apologize. I think my stop is right here. It's a pretty aggressive stop, and my entry would have been somewhere in here. Let's just call it right there, right above that light resistance. It's just very light resistance. Well, I guess it's not that light of resistance. This one is. Yeah, this one's kind of light resistance. They're both. Well, not that light, really, looking at it. But I might slim down that trade. Actually, now looking at this, I have to go look and see what I actually have on. The trade setup would be to take profit here, so that's like a 2-to-1 roughly, 1.5 to 1. But that move's been pretty well played. I've been looking at this now, thinking to myself, I need to slim down on DOT, because look at what Link has left to do. Look at what ADA has left to do. And ADA's in severe breakout territory. I mean, we're getting some light resistance. If you look at the USD chart, especially on ADA, there's just not much resistance left before it really starts to pop. Now, it could consolidate right where we're at for quite a bit, which I kind of expect it to. Keep expecting these things to quit breaking out and just consolidate more, but they keep making legs up. But yeah, ADA's got a long way to go. I think ADA and ETH are the next two to make big moves, is what I keep thinking. But ADA's made a lot of big moves on the USD chart, but it's not like DOT has, right? So let's just measure this real fast, and I need to wrap up. So from the breakout levels, we'll call it, ADA's moved 155% on the USD chart, and from the breakout levels on the USD chart, man, DOT's been just crazy. %175%. Yeah, these things need to cool off a little bit. Looking at this, so ETH though, ETH has only moved. I think ETH is the next one to move. In here, let's see here. Oh, it's 150% still. Yeah, we got some good. I think maybe more than 150%. Maybe we should expect a little bit more than 150% here, given it's alt season. So the breakout level will be kind of this level, this low, 88. So Link's got a lot of room to go. So looking at it like that, looks like Link has. I've said for a long time Link has the most upside. Now I've thought, going back to this, I think that leaving 2021, I still think that Cardano is going to end up being number 3. Link, I think, might make it to number 4, and the Polkadot might end up being 5. Polkadot, I think, is getting the love early. Now, I could be wrong. The market could be telling me Polkadot's going to be 3, but I think, nonetheless, Polkadot, Cardano, and Chainlink are going to be 3, 4, 5 coming out of this altcoin, this cycle, and Chainlink's at 8. So Chainlink's got some room to move. And when we leave this cycle, the number 3, 4, and 5 cryptocurrencies are going to be a lot bigger than 20 billion. They're going to be, or 16 billion. They're going to be 50 or 100 billion at least. So we got some room to go. Can you comment on YFI BTC? Yeah. I used to not be a big fan of YFI, just because the upside I don't think is there. So it's a pretty. I don't have to go to a really high fidelity for like 4-hour chart. It's a pretty slim chart, though. I don't have a lot to work with. I don't know if I like that. I see something here. And so you're starting to get a bit of a trend line forming right there. See if I can get some good touches out of that. So if I go up to the body, to those wicks. So I see an uptrend channel kind of forming that you can track. That's one thing I see. Obviously you had this insane downtrend you were in that you've now broken. Wherever it ended up being. There you go. It's probably something like that. It actually is a breakout, retest, resumption out of there. The main thing, so you got this basically counter trend move happening and an uptrend channel forming. The main thing is going to be your horizontal levels now coming in here. Right. There's some good support. Right. So the market showed you your resistance, right? But it's that wick down right there. Yeah, that's your main areas to watch. You're above this trend line now. I'd wait for this to cool down a little bit. Wait for some consolidation. And you should probably have at least some consolidation in here. And then some action. Or even, whatever. I don't know how it's going to play out. Given that it's crypto alt season, expecting just a little bit of consolidation right here and then a breakout, retest, resumption, take your trade out of there might be a good spot to look to lean into. It's definitely bullish though on this bounce out of here. It's kind of light. Here's your next resistance right here. So that trade you'd be putting on right here, you wouldn't be looking at a 1-to-1 trade. Because you need to give this a good wide stop, I'd think. I would. Now, the best case scenario would be you'd come back down here one more time for another retest and then resumption out. And you could probably take an actionable trade. But it wouldn't come down. It would probably... I would actually be a bit of a breakdown. The other level to watch for is if you came down and touched this right here one more time before resuming. That'd be nice. I'd be pretty happy with something like that if I was looking at this pair. You see that wick down right there, that price action? That's what I'd be watching. The market showed you that, the bodies of those right there. Getting like even closer down. Where your market liquidity is that area right there. So coming down into that and holding that. The only problem with that trade is that you're coming right back into that trend line and then you don't have much room for that next resistance. So, but Yeah, I'd wait for it to consolidate and give you another good signal. But there's your levels I'd have on it. So the levels I'd be watching are your 929 support, your 1099 resistance, and your 1246 resistance. I hope that answered your question. Litecoin future, Litecoin's junk. Sorry, it is. I mean, the project's okay. What's his name? The guy that founded it's okay. But he did say he founded it as a kind of a joke. But Litecoin doesn't have a future because there's lots of scaling, layer 2 scaling solutions for Bitcoin that are just going to put an end to any of these other projects. You know, the ability to wrap Bitcoin on like a network like Cardano, there's not going to be any use case for any of these other smaller solutions outside of that. I use cointracker.io. Put that in the chat. I don't know anything about taxes outside of I use cointracker.io and I hand that report to my accounting people, and they tell me what to do. I am not afraid of taking profit. Like I'm not the type that's like, oh, there are certain things that I hold, like long-term investments that I hold, that I'm very cognizant of the capital gains taxes and holding for 1 to 5 years, you know, depending on what I want. And this type of environment, when things are moving so fast, I'm going to take profit and pay the taxes. That's just the way I do it. And I you know, write off some of the stuff with business and office use and whatever else, right? So I try to maximize my write-offs like anybody else, but I'm going to take profit and I'm going to pay the taxes. That's just the way I work. I don't want to overthink it. All right, guys, I got to run. I'm actually over time. I was going to try to end this a little bit earlier. Thank you all so much for joining. I see we have a few people joining now, but thank you all. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to turn this into a video tomorrow. I'm going to edit it as much as I can to the relevant parts, just talking about trade entry criteria. So if you guys missed a bunch of this, just want to watch a shortened version of it, that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. Thank you all.